So Naz, you want
Yeah. Uh, Welcome to 24 Hours of Past, 20 years of past, the past learnings and future vision. We are excited you could join us today for Paresh Motiwala section, How to Get and Nail Your Interviews. This 24 Hours of Past consists of 24 consecutive live webinars delivered by expert speakers from the past community. The sessions will be recorded and posted online after the event. You will receive an email letting you know when these are available. My name is Najrullah Sheikh Mullah. I am a database engineer working on many leading databases, and my favorite database is Microsoft SQL Server, and I have been an active member in the past community. I have a few introductory slides before I hand over the reins to Paresh. Can you go to the next slide, Paresh?
Yep, here. Basically, what it's saying is that if you need any assistance, right, just type your question in the question space. Maximize your screen to the fullest so you can get the best experience. And at the end of the event, there'll be an evaluation. So please do that. And then the next one, our sponsors, you want to thank them?
Yeah, I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors, Microsoft and Intel. The staging of 24 hours of pass wouldn't be possible without their generous support, and they are the reason this event is available free of charge. If you would like to learn more about Microsoft or Intel and sign up for information on how they can help you, please visit the sponsors page on the 24 Hours of Pass website. If you can go to the next slide.
Yep.
Keep learning all year long with PASS. Visit pass.org and check out all the free educational resources available to the PASS members. Also, don't forget that PASS Summit 2019 will be happening on November 5th in Seattle, Washington. Head over to passsummit.com and register today.
And yes, few things. There are virtual groups, which are about 30 of them. And volunteer, guys. There's no bigger fun than volunteering. So, like what we are doing. And that's me. So, so my name is Paresh Motiwala. I'm the presenter today. I have had the pleasure of doing this topic roughly about 5 or 6 times already in this past 6 months. It's been an amazing topic and extremely well received. And I hope you guys can take the most out of it too. My contact information is here on the left side. That's my LinkedIn, Twitter, my Facebook. Yes, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, everything. And then my Gmail is also here. So I run the Boston BI user group, uh, and I am also in the leadership for the New England SQL Server user group, the past DBA virtual group, and the past professional development virtual group. I organize SQL Saturdays and global Azure boot camps and the whole 9 yards that you can see. I've spoken at over 150 different events, either virtual or in person. So, without much ado, let us get started. That's my family on the left, and my passion, that is, I teach children the art and science of public speaking. So, today, what are we going to do? Okay, so we'll see how do we actually get to a point where we start getting interviews, right? So, we'll see what to do when you are happily employed. What do you do? On networking and volunteering, like what Naz is doing and what I am doing. It'll really expand your net in case you want to search for a job. Um, Social media, something which a lot of people are very scared of. Oh my God, I can't post anything on Facebook. I don't want to be on Facebook. There's a lot of crap there. Well, we'll try to break that myth for you. Uh, about your resume. Let's talk about your resume too. It's actually a full session that is coming up in the past professional development virtual group, how to write your resume, but I will give you some tips for today also. So speaking, presenting, training, blogging is kind of part of volunteering, but also part of your professional development. So let's see what we can do about that as well. applying. How do you apply, right? That's something which is everybody thinks, oh my God, application of a job is a painful process and that you have to be at home to do that. And just show of hands if my friends on the line here, if you can just tell me how many of you believe that you have to be in a very quiet place with a lot of time on your hand to apply for a job. Can you just raise your hands here in the chat room? I'd love to know who thinks so. While you are doing that, let me move on and we see how to prepare for the interviews, right? What do we do before we actually enter the hallowed grounds of your prospective employer? It could be a phone interview too. So we'll discuss how to prepare both for the phone interviews and in-person interviews. What you would do during the interviews. Now, a lot of us have predetermined or as I say prejudices about what to do during the interviews, what not to do. And today I'll most likely shatter a lot of those for you. So please stay tuned on that. And what do you do after the interviews? So, and then what about maintaining records, right? So that is the most crucial part. And why do you need to maintain the records? If if you don't know, you'll be surprised to hear some of the answers that I have at the end of the day. So let's go to keeping your eyes and ears open. How do you do that? Feeds from job boards, right? There are so many job boards that are out there, right? Monster and Indeed and careerbuilder.com and Dice and Facebook's Ladder and LinkedIn Jobs. And people have now started posting their job vacancies on Instagram and Twitter. So definitely that's something you do not want to bypass. Uh, to do that, make sure you have, I would generally use the same password across the board. Uh, Keep it simple so that you can even use it from your cell phone while you are in the office. LinkedIn job application, I don't know if you have that on your phone, but I extremely strongly advise you, urge you, request you to have that application on your phone if you are feeling you need to look for a job. If you are feeling you don't need to look for a job, well, let me break that myth for you. You should be looking for a job all the time. Should you be doing it actively? No, maybe not, but definitely keep looking all the time. User group events. So if you are local, so for example, we have about 5 or 6 different user groups in the Boston area for Azure and SQL and business intelligence and data science and Python. And you mention it, and they're all there. Not that you can always attend all of them, but go there once in a way. Say hello to some friends. You never know where your next job is coming from. And at some of our stages, like in my case, it would be a shame if my job has to be coming from a job board rather than an internal source. Get a hang of what is being asked in the interviews. How would you know that? Seriously, if you haven't gone for an interview in a while, I can absolutely tell you with a lot of confidence that you will flunk your first interview and you really don't want to do that because you will never know if you'll actually have a second interview quickly enough, that is. Prepare for technology or your subject matter expertise, right? Definitely, you want to do that. So if you're looking for a job in the Azure, make sure you start working your Azure skills. Microsoft offers you $200 or what is that, $100 for the first month, which is free. Snowflake DB, for example, gives you $400 free trial for having a cloud data warehouse and so on. So you want to use as much as free resources as possible. But on Azure, go ahead and create a subscription of 50 or $100 a month. It will pay off in a long time, in a long run. Prepare for the interviews too, while you're keeping your eyes and ears open. So how would you prepare for the interviews? Look up a lot of interviewing videos like what I'm talking now, right? And see what happens, how people conduct themselves in the interviews. Some people have very candid tips about the interviewing skills and so on. So we'll have a whole bunch of things coming up as we go along. Prepare your exit line. Please prepare your exit lines. And what's an exit line? So exit line is basically what happened in your past job. Did you leave? Was there a layoff or were you fired? Right? You want to have a very convincing answer for that. For example, if you did not have a good relation with your boss and you were fired, you know what? So be it. But then you need to be very clear what you're going to say there. For example, the best thing you could say is, it was not working out. There's a lack of chemistry, and it was best for us that we both parted. Okay, so that's some of the things that you can say there. Networking and volunteering. So this is something I can never tell you enough about. Networking has to be a way of life. It is not a medicine. It is not a therapy. You have to live networking. Okay. So there are multiple ways of networking. You can do it in person, like what we do at our user groups and SQL Saturdays and Azure Data Fest days and Global Azure Boot Camps, Boston Code Camps, and so on. Like I'm sure you have code camps in your area too. So go ahead, network with the people over there. You never know where your next job is coming from. Your children's baseball game, basketball game, you could be sitting next to a CIO of a company, and no pun intended, but you are technically on the same level field, if you know what I'm saying. So you're sitting next to a CIO. There is no facade, there is no wall between you two. That's the perfect time for you to raise your candidature there and talk to them about what your wishes are and so on. Volunteering, right? So, volunteer for your church. I mean, I would not hesitate to bring out, but look at people who are from outside this country. Could be Indians, could be Chinese, could be Italians, or right. If you look at them, they actually congregate and they volunteer for their own cultural and other events that happen, and there are sub organizations that are basically supported by them. And you will be amazed to see that it is these people, because of their massive network, are the last people to get laid off and the first people to get picked up for the next job. So, volunteering and networking in your community, even for your places of worship, you could be in a synagogue, you could be in a church, you could be in a mosque. Yes, keep on volunteering. Participate in professional groups, right? Like PAS. Okay. Um, I get so many questions after my presentations. It's almost mind blowing, but it takes my name out there. And I see the way some people actually, I can quote you this with a lot of pride, is that about 2 weeks ago, I was actually interviewing at a company here in Boston. And as it turned out, one of the guys who was interviewing me was a member of my user group. And he told in front of his boss, I know what Paresh is doing. I don't even want to waste time interviewing him. So I would just say hire him. I was like absolutely baffled, and so was his boss. And guess what? Today they have actually asked for references, and I hope to get that job. Yes, I'm between jobs right now. So speak, present, train, mentor, blog. Do this every single day of your life, no matter what it is, microblogging, tweet about it. If you need help, hashtag SQL help is always there for you. There are various user group people who are always online and they're always looking to answer questions, and they don't even charge you money. So speak at your local user group events, speak at your school events, your church events, present about diversity, present about SQL Server or how to have a safe existence on the internet for your children. That way, you will be on the top of their mind awareness, as it is called in marketing terms. Church, sports teams, right? We already spoke about that. Let's go on to the next one. Social media and job boards. Okay, this is going to be little troublesome for some people, but please check it out. Okay, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. Okay, the superb places to get yourself jobs. Okay, so these are social media, but you want to clean up those profiles. Okay, so why would you want to clean up? Because you don't want to have like objectionable pictures. Your profile has to appear professional, even if it is your personal profile. Mind you, just because you are on Facebook with high privacy settings doesn't mean they cannot see your pictures. So if you have this as your profile picture, time to change that. Okay. So on the job boards, I have posted a lot of them here, like Career Builder, Monster, LinkedIn Jobs. So this one here in the middle, the blue one is the LinkedIn Jobs. You can actually install it on your iPhone, and I'm not kidding you, but you could actually be in a meeting with your boss and you could be applying for a new job while sitting in a meeting with your boss, and he would not know about it. The application has search engines that are built in. It will keep on giving you appropriate feeds. And then what you should do is have a copy of your resume on Google Drive or OneDrive, right? So that way, when you are applying from your office using your office Wi Fi, your resume actually doesn't cross the firewall and it is not noticed by your NetOps people or the networking people. That's a very good way to stay safe and apply while you're doing this. Um, for all you know, you could be in the elevator. It takes 1 minute for you to apply using this LinkedIn jobs. Don't underestimate the power of this application. I would strongly suggest. Oh, wait, it's also a Microsoft product. So, resume. I have a whole different session on resumes. If you guys like to see that, please email me. I will keep you informed with the PRAS professional development chapter. We are actually having a very seasoned resume writer to come on and give you tips on how to write your resume. But I actually hired somebody recently because of my layoff, and not sorry, I got this service as a free service, and they actually helped me completely change my resume. And I was absolutely baffled the amount of mistakes and the stupid mistakes I had made in my resume for the past 15 or 20 years. So, but keep it short, keep it relevant. For example, if you're a DBA, right? I'm just giving you an example because I was a DBA and I might actually go back to being a DBA. But backups and restores. I mean, come on, guys. This is the crap you're doing every freaking day of your life. Why would you fill up your limited real estate on your resume by giving this information on every single job that you have been in the past 10 or 15 years? So, what I have done is that I would say, other than the standard DBA jobs, these are the things that I have added to my resume, like project management. I manage projects for databases. I mentor junior DBAs. And I participate in this, I participate in that. If anybody is interested, I can send you a copy of my resume. Feel free to compare it with some of the best you have. I'm so happy and proud that yes, it is now in a very good one. And keep on tweaking it. Okay. Now, if you see a lot of people who have been in a company for 5 or 10 years, they have never actually touched their resume. The chances are the last time they actually touched their resume was Office 2003, and now we are using Office 2016. You might even have troubles actually importing the whole document into the latest version, right? So you want to, every time you hit a home run in Office, you want to update your social profile. Go ahead and put it on LinkedIn, boast about it, right? Because if you won't, who will? Definitely do this forever and forever. And if it is a massive project, go ahead and add it as one extra line in your resume in your current job. Because if you don't do this on a regular basis, what happens is that suddenly one day you find and they will call you in the HR office and say, Paresh, we are going to be cutting down on our budget because of bad market or whatever happened. And you soon become an expensive furniture and they will let you go no matter how long you have been with them. So at that time, you will be in an emotional stress. You don't know, you will not remember who are the people who worked with you, what was the details of the project. So every time you do a project or some good thing you get from your customer, internal or external, make sure you put it away in your home runs folder in Google Drive or something like that. So that with dates, okay, that will actually help you keep your resume absolutely up to date and spick and span. Okay, let's go on. So apply. Okay. We spoke about it briefly, so let's see what we can do in applying. Only apply for appropriate ones, right? Just by applying for 20,000 jobs in a day doesn't really add any value. It just adds to frustration, right? And if you're going to say apply, if each of these jobs is costing you 5 to 10 minutes to apply, and if you're applying for 10 or 15 jobs, you are basically, if they are not suitable jobs for you, you would have wasted about 2 hours of your time while you are unemployed. If that is the case, then what is happening is this is the 2 hours you could have spent trying to brush up on a skill that you might have forgotten, or catching up on a new skill. Like, oh my God, I never knew about uh, Microsoft Azure SQL Data Warehouse. Let me catch up on that. So you can actually do that. So apply only for the appropriate ones. Keep your records, okay? When you apply for a job, go ahead and keep a record of it. Why would you want to keep a record? Anybody wants to make a quick guess? Come on, guys, let's make this interactive. I know it's been a long day. Okay, we don't have a single taker. Cool, never mind. So one of the reasons why you want to keep records is that you might have noticed that when you actually apply, when you are going through the emails in the morning that come from different body shoppers or recruiters or whatever you call them, or employment agencies, there is a chance that if there is one opening coming up, there are 3 or 4 agencies that would have reached you in the span of approximately 5 minutes. So you definitely want to make sure that your resume is not submitted to the same client twice. That is a cardinal sin. I've fallen prey to that. So you want to watch out against that. Now, other thing is that if you were let go, if it was a workforce reduction, then you need to apply for the unemployment insurance. And for that, you will have noticed you have to actually go ahead and put in at least 3 to 5 applications that you put in. So you have to tell them where you applied, what was the results, and so on. So these records actually help you keep a very good information. Do you have to go really out of the way to do this? Not really, because the moment you apply using LinkedIn or any of these job boards, you will get a confirmatory email. And it is that email that you can keep as a record. Or what I do is something different, and I will share that with you too. Use cover letters if needed, right? There are sample cover letters available for those who are looking for one. Feel free to email me or tweet about this presentation, and I will actually send you the one that I'm using. But cover letters actually make it sound like it is a very professional job, and you are not just lazy enough about clicking on your resume, uploading it, and get the heck out of the application process. No, don't do that. Any common contacts before you apply. For example, if you are applying in, say, Harvard University as a database administrator, first check out if there is anybody in your first degree that works there. If that person is working there, you must reach out to them and ask them if they can refer you to that position. Remember, internal referrals will get you a job much faster than any other way that you can possibly imagine. So if there are any common contacts, please reach out to them and don't be in a rush to apply. Oh, yeah, I reached out to him like 2 hours ago and he didn't reply to me, so I'm going to go and apply. Right? That's your ego speaking. Get rid of it. You do remember and understand that just like you don't like Facebook or you don't like LinkedIn, the others may not be liking LinkedIn either. So they may not actually be checking their LinkedIn on a very regular basis. So give them a day or two. Okay, so that's why I'm saying this is a long drawn process. Be patient, definitely reach out to your contacts. And when you reach out to them, just don't say, hey, hi, can you refer me to this position? Say, hi, how are you doing, man? I trust you remember we worked in this place together or we met at SQL Saturday in Washington, D.C. And I see that you are now working in this organization and they have this opening. I was wondering if you can actually go ahead and refer my name to it. And I found that about 8 out of 10 people will actually do it. The other two will say no. One of them would be a complete jerk, and that's why he wouldn't do it or she wouldn't do it. And the other one is because there is a chance they already referred somebody else to that position or they are themselves applying for that position. Ask for a referral, keep your resume updated all the times, preparing for interviews. Okay, this is going to be cool stuff. So prepare, right? That's the first thing. Always, there's nothing like being over prepared for an interview. Do that. KYFS. If you know that, I don't want to spell it out, but know your subject. Okay. So if you are going to be applying for a DBA position, it's okay to go ahead and check out, what's a clustered index, what's a SQL OS, and they can actually ask you questions. There is a book by, I think, by Pinal Dave about 200 most popular questions that they ask a DBA in an interview. You won't believe, but today, after 20 years as a DBA and applying for a senior DBA, one of the jobs that I'm applying for, I have an interview for that on Thursday. Oh my God, that is tomorrow. And these are the questions they asked me. Okay, what is a clustered index? What's a non-clustered index? What is a full recovery mode? What's a simple recovery mode? Okay, so they were very basics. But in the second round, that's when they get tough and you really want to be prepared for that. So make sure that you brush up on your fundamentals. Third thing, for your interviews, remember your resume. You have to know your resume. Like if they tell you that, okay, Paresh, how many servers have you handled as a DBA? So as you see in this company, IBM, I handled 57 servers, and you can see that in my resume. So that basically what you're telling him indirectly is that, you idiot, go ahead and read my resume before you come for my interview. Okay, and that will actually cut out a lot of these stupid questions and formal questions that they are obliged to ask. Oh, well, I forgot to tell you, yes, keep preparing. Research the interviewers, right? So usually when you go for an organizational interview, you'll get an itinerary about who are you going to meet. They'll give you a list of 3 or 4 people you're going to meet. Make sure you research those people on the web. And it's perfectly okay to research their personal lives by checking them out on Facebook, but you don't have to mention that in the interview. Make sure you research them on LinkedIn. And I also research them on Twitter. And there is, whitepages.com, people.com, zabasearch.com. You can actually figure out what has been their past history in the 20 years where they have moved on. There is a chance you might actually get something common there. Research the company, right? Before you go, make sure you know what the company is doing, if it got any awards, okay? If there are any specific mentions about the company on its website, something that is of public knowledge. Don't come up with something that your friend from within the company told you. But definitely, whatever is available in public sources, you want to find that out, how their stocks are doing. Okay. And then something that most people will possibly not sound you out. Okay. And that is research the industry. So if you're going to be applying for healthcare industry, when you look at this company, say Howard Pilgrim Healthcare, right? How does it compare to other companies within the industry? How is the industry doing itself, right? You want to make sure that you are in the right industry. If they say, okay, I'm in travel industry and we are doing phenomenally well, and if it is a travel agency, you know what is the future of travel agencies in general. They're not doing terribly well, right? Because of the internet onslaught. So just watch out, research that industry. And finally, I know you're going to get sick of hearing this, but definitely prepare. So prepare all this. You should know everything that I just mentioned by heart. Okay. Now, this is a time where I can actually take a moment's break and say if anybody has a question or a comment, please share them in the chat room. I would love to hear back from you guys. So preparing for the phone interviews, right? So pretty similar to your in-person interviews, but again, practice your voice. Make sure you have a good headset when you're talking on the phone. It is extremely awkward and most of the time not pretty, when you are trying to balance your phone between your ears and your shoulder. Okay, so get a good headset and use that very effectively. So prepare, prepare, prepare. Okay, know your subject and your resume just as in personal interview case. Research the interviewers, company, and industry. Talk in a quiet place. When I had to recruit a DBA, I had reached out to one of our partners in a different country, and the guy whom we were interviewing, he was actually talking to us from their public transport, and there was screaming and screeching on the street, and everything was coming through. It was so hard for us to listen to him, and we had no option but to let him go. Maybe you're lucky you're not actually in the street, but if you're at home, make sure there's nothing in the background that is, like your children screaming or, your spouse playing some different thing on TV at the same time. Please walk into a very quiet place. It will really go a long way. Make sure that your phone is fully charged. How many times have you seen, oh, geez, you know what? My phone is about to die. Can we wrap up this interview? No, don't be ridiculous. Don't do that. High quality headset, right? And we'll then see what we do at the interview now. Okay, so let's talk about food habits. So a lot of people will not possibly tell you, but do not eat before what you don't eat on the day off. So what do you not eat before you go to the interview, right? If you're going to be eating fish and chips with eggs, it's a classic case with a lot of garlic sauce or a sriracha or whatever you're putting on your breakfast, it is going to smell. So the chances are, what are the chances that you actually have enough time to go ahead and brush your teeth or even use a mouth freshener before you go to the in-person interview? So make sure that just before you go to the interview, your oral habits are very clean. Otherwise, it's going to be one heck of a bad interview for you. But why not the day before? The day before, if possible, avoid eating fish, garlic, or anything that is strong and spicy. It does emanate a sort of body odor, and that will actually bring you down. This one is the scene from, I don't know, what is that? I forgot. My son watches this a lot, but I loved it. Um, so remember, good food habits, right? Okay. There's one more thing that we will see pertaining to the food habits that is so crucial, and it is related to brushing your teeth, right? So let's see dressing. Okay, I'm just going to go through this, a few of those as they come along, right? Now, this is good, but the earlier two are not good. Common sense, but still a lot of people fail in that. Aha, if you are going to be eating ridiculous things, make sure that the proverbial piece of parsley is not stuck between your teeth. Okay, so make sure you brush and floss properly before you go into the interview. Don't blow bubbles in front of your interviewer. Okay, even don't keep chewing, even if you don't blow the bubbles, because by habit you end up having to do that. So no tobacco, right? During the interview, make sure you don't get into that habit. This is that if you are having facial hair, make sure they are nicely trimmed. It goes a long way. Use light deodorants or body sprays. Strong ones tend to really tick off the interviewers. Some of them are allergic to strong odors. They might actually leave without interviewing you. So you might just want to watch out against that. And yes, alcohol, totally no. And yes, I do believe in freedom of expression. This is my personal opinion. Do not go to the interview like this. Please. Okay. So arrival. Arrive on an average. I suggest arriving about 15 or 20 minutes early. The reason being, you really want to go chill for a couple of minutes and let them know that yes, you're very serious about coming on time for your own interview. Um, there is a remote chance that it may happen that your train or your traffic was so bad that you couldn't arrive on time. Then make sure that you have the HR person's phone number that you can use to tell them that you are running late. Do not. So what happens is that when you are actually having this sort of information, make sure that you create the calendar invite and put all this information in one place. So when you are really stuck in traffic, you don't have enough time to look up the correct email for contacting that HR person. That will bring you down big time. So put all of this information very easily accessible for you. Give them plenty of heads up if you're going to be late. Okay, it has happened to me once or twice, but they have perfectly understood. My daughter, for example, she missed her interview by 6 hours because she missed the flight. She couldn't do anything about it. And they said, you know what? Just thank you for keeping us updated. And she got into the med school. So she's doing good. But she was very honest about it. She said, you know, what happened? The traffic was so bad, we just missed our flight big time. So then, if it is hot outside, right? I don't know if you're in Arizona or Texas or Florida somewhere, and I would say at least come 20 to 25 minutes early. Sit in the office building, really cool down. If there is any sweat, it'll help you dry that sweat. Go ahead, wash your face, wash your hands, and if you have a body odor and deodorant, then go ahead and use that at that appropriate time before you actually check in with your receptionist. The other thing you also might have realized that just by looking at the way in which the receptionist behaves actually tells a lot about that company. I don't know if you have noticed that or not, but I would say please be very cognizant about that. That you will actually see the way the receptionist actually welcomes people, how people walking in and I mean around the reception area, you will find out how casual the company is, what is the general spirit, and so on. That's a very good time for you to actually be observing all that too. So always be very pleasant with the receptionist, okay? Because she can actually go ahead and give your negative feedback to the interviewer, and you're doomed. So don't do that ever. So be very nice to receptionist. It'll go a long way. So during the interview, right? So make sure you turn off your phone. Okay. Uh, Warm handshake. In USA, don't use two hands. One hand is good enough. Two hands are, you know, what's going on with Joe Biden right now. So that is not always perceived very well. In a lot of other cultures, even a hugging kiss on the cheek is fine, a cheek to cheek kiss is fine. But in USA, you have to be very, very watchful. Give me one second. Warm handshake tells a lot about your personality. Okay, don't just offer four fingers as a handshake. Make sure that you grip that person's arm and really shake it well. Okay, if they offer a coffee or water, please accept it. Don't be a jerk. Don't say I don't drink coffee. Don't say yeah, I already have my water bottle. Find time and go with them. Why? Because this is those crucial 3 to 4 minutes of personal time that you have with that person that you would normally not have once the interview starts. So if you get this offer, please, please, please take it. Okay? That's a very crucial thing to have. Exchange small niceties, right? What is small niceties? Like, hey, how's there? There are some pictures in the background, right? See if you can appreciate those pictures. Talk about, like, if I go to any interviews in Boston, we're usually talking about Patriots or the Red Sox. You know, I mean, we are now so sick and tired of winning, really. Um, so we always talk about small niceties. Like if you're in San Francisco, you might say, you know what? Yeah, I'm from the Patriots land, but no worries, this year San Francisco will definitely win the Super Bowl or something like that. So try to be bringing up topics that just help you level the field and break the ice barriers. Just family photos, make sure you appreciate them. Go out of the way to say that, but don't assume that that is the wife or a sister or a daughter. They can get very offended by that. So who is that lovely picture? Who is that in the picture there? Let them talk. Okay. Avoid political discussions at all costs. Okay. Remember the P here is political, is the capital. The reason being we can get suckered into these political discussions and we can completely ruin our chances of ever working for that. So there are chances they may say, you know what do you think about Hillary Clinton? What do you think about Trump, right? Don't answer that question, please. The best answer is, yeah, it's a debate for another day, and I would rather concentrate on something that is pertaining to the job, and it's okay to say that. Okay. Ah, now remember the exit line. Remember we spoke about this. You need to prepare your exit line. Why were you let go? You should have a better answer for that. If you left the organization, what would be your exit line? Okay. Um, the exit line would be, I left it for better prospects. I did not see I was going too far as professionally in this company as I would have loved to. The company is great. My boss is unbelievable. He may be the biggest jerk in the planet, right? But make sure that you say, no, he's a great boss. But as a career, this is not going anywhere for me. Then I thought, you know what? I've already been here for 5 years. I've already paid my dues to the company. I thought I'll just take a chance, and that's why I'm here. But do not bitch about your previous boss, right? Try to bring up the mutual connections. Okay, mutual connections being in when you research them, right? Make sure that you. What I have done is that I take a small piece of paper, or if they let me open up the computer, I have it mentioned in my OneNote that I would say, okay, this person and I have following 6 people in common on LinkedIn. And remember this preparation that I told you to do about 5 or 6 slides ahead of now. That is what you want to be watching out for. Okay, this is a good opening line for you. Oh, yeah, I see you have worked with such and such. He's a good friend of mine, right? And you can actually start off, it will really lower the barrier that is between you and the interviewer. So bring up that. Don't ask, can I WFH? No, this is a wrong idea, bad timing. You will never, ever, ever do this. What will happen is that the interviewer themselves will say, oh, we had to organize this interview today because some of these guys are working from home on Friday. That's your cue that, okay, you don't really need to ask this stupid question like, can I work from home right now? Right? Because the general tendency is if you can work from home, your job can be done from Mexico, India, China, Malaysia, anywhere. So don't make that as a precondition. Avoid the funny stuff. What's the funny stuff? You think it is funny. I think it's one of the best jokes you ever heard, but that can be very offensive. You don't know the level of sense of humor of the person across the room. Not pretty. So make sure that you do not come up with any ridiculous jokes or anything at all that is deemed remotely funny. If you do start, if the guy has a joke or if he acts funny and he comes up with some punchlines or puns, then yeah, that may not be a bad idea, but be very careful. I would just err on the side of caution and totally avoid humor in any and all forms during the interviews. I said, don't bitch about the previous company or the boss. You will never go anywhere if you do that. So, also remember, if you read a book recently or a blog or forums that you attended or respond to or contribute to or professional groups like PASS, make sure that you mention that during the interview. For example, one of the latest books I read was the In the Line of Fire. If you haven't read it, guys, I would strongly recommend you reading it because that actually tells you especially being a DBA or a manager, what to expect when you are getting into a meeting or a heated argument or a debate with the other department or another person in your own department, and how to respond to that. Be very careful. That book has totally changed the way I look at people and the way I respond to them. So please, if you get a chance, it's called In Line of Fire. If you need more information, again, tweet about it and I will respond to it as soon as possible. Here, sitting. One of the jobs, and I'll tell you, this goes back in 1998 when it was 1999. Yeah, I had applied for a job as a system administrator with a nonprofit organization in Boston, and I was possibly the least qualified candidate. But my posture, my attitude, and my attitude to go learn things, okay, is what got me the job. And my boss's observation was, Paresh, of all the people we interviewed, you are the only person who was sitting upright, never slouched, and did not spread the legs or stretch them in front of me as a sign of extraordinary casualness. So please remember, how you sit makes a lot of difference. What else can possibly go wrong in a simple things like sitting? Sit directly opposite to the interviewer if possible. If it is one on one, make sure you're not at 90 degrees but at 180 degrees to him, right? So what is the purpose of doing that? So it helps you gauge his reactions. The facial expressions are much more clear. It'll actually, the body language will help you understand where he's coming from, what he really means, and what he really says. There's a philosophical aspect of this. That is, it helps you catch the positive vibes from the other person and it helps you catch it 100%. So you don't want to take this absolutely easy. Okay, so sit in front of the person. If it is a kind of conference table where you have 5 or 6 people interviewing, then make sure that you make note of every single person's name in the order in which they are sitting. So draw a table on your paper and say first person is John, second is Peter, third is Paul, fifth is Mike, and so on. Oh, there's Andrea over there too. Make sure that you mark them correctly, otherwise it is very difficult for us to remember. And yeah, as the question, what's your name? What are the question you ask? No, you don't want to be doing that kind of thing during the interview. Okay, so interviewing the interviewer. Don't be shy. Okay, ask them, and they actually want you to ask these questions. What's your team? Why is this job there? Okay, is it a backfill or is it a net new position? If it's a backfill, what happened to the earlier guy or a girl? He or she left. Did you fire him? Was there a workforce reduction? So you wanted to lower a person who's making $150,000 and replace them with $100,000 person. This is a good time for you to check out what happened to the previous position if it was a backfill. What's your management style? How do you manage? Do you have weekly meetings? Do you have daily meetings? Do you basically you have to ask him very indirectly if he's a micromanager, okay? And if it is, then maybe not a great place for you to work. If you have the luxury of saying no to a micromanager, I would say no. One of the questions that I asked and that totally baffled one of the, of course, I eventually got the job is that if somebody messes up, how do you handle that? And this guy, whom I eventually ended up working for, he said, you know what? As long as you're honest about it and you come and tell me before I learn about this from somebody else, I'll happily cover for you. I will not that I'll lie for you, but I'll say, you know what? We screwed up. Say it from the top of the voice and from the top of the roof and say, you know what? Let's move on. We have learned our lessons. So this is what I expect out of your mistakes and failures. Ask them, what's your technology roadmap? This is one absolute question. If you do not get a convincing answer from your prospective boss, do not join. For example, one of the people that I interviewed, as late as last week, they do not even have on their technology roadmap SQL Server Enterprise Edition. They are still using standard edition, and this company is handling mission critical 24/7 applications, and they said they do not have budget to go enterprise. Not my problem, not Microsoft's problem, but I would not work for that company. The other reason of asking them the technology roadmap is you want to actually see if the boss himself is clear as to what he really wants his team to go. Because if they don't have a roadmap, he possibly doesn't understand what are the administrative goals of the company. If he doesn't understand all this, he has no roadmap, how is he going to give you the goals? And if he doesn't give you goals, how are you going to be honest about your performance? How did you do? Well, you didn't do well because, yeah, what? Because you never gave me the goals. So how can you measure me against my failure or success? So you want to watch out for that. Then this is something we already covered. Why do we have this opening? This is a question please never fail to ask. Okay? What do you expect more from me on day 1, day 30, day 90, or any user defined time interval that you have in mind, like select get date plus 30 or plus 60 or plus 180. Get that in writing from them, or at least get them to speak it out. What I would like to do is, Maz, what I would like to do is that you come in and check out the applications, you look at the lay of the land. I think your first 30 days would be essentially devoted to that. The next 30 to 60 days, I would love to see you document what you find so that we all know that you are on the right page. And then for the next 6 months, I would like to see you making suggestions and starting to implement them as you go along. This is how you want to interview the interviewer, and that is exactly the type of answers you want to hear back from the interviewer. This is a question, please ask them as subtly as possible. What do you think about training? In about 2 jobs back, one of the companies where I worked for, which was unfortunate, I had to work for them. But the manager, I asked them, what do you think about the training? Oh, we don't have any training budget. Everything you're supposed to look up on YouTube and Google and find your way through the maze. Basically, the turnover in that company and his department was approximately 70 to 80% because he chose not to provide any formal training. Why does formal training matter? It actually sends a message to the people within the organization that you are serious about your technology. You are serious about the professional development of your staff and your team. Because if you don't have that, and if you are waiting for people to do YouTube during the office hours, it's not pretty. Okay. So just watch out, ask them about the training. Right? What I did when I was managing a team of database administrators, I told them, I'll give you 2 hours a week off if you put in 2 hours of your own time. So that means that in a week, you are spending approximately 10% of your time just studying new technologies, new tools that will actually help you do your job better. Okay. If you can do your job better, that means that I don't have to get that 2 o'clock morning pager saying that this is failing because you have the right tools and the right scripts in the right place. Okay. Somebody asks you, do you know NoSQL? Do not assume that just because you don't know SQL, you know NoSQL. So be very careful about answering these questions. Okay, so closing. So we have about 6 minutes to go, but let me see what would you do during your closing in an interview, right? So definitely ask pointed questions. What are the pointed questions? Is there anything in my resume or our talks that you would like me to work upon? So there is a chance that maybe you did not answer a couple of questions well enough. They would be able to tell you that, yeah, you know what, I would love to see you catching up on that. But that's not a showstopper. Let's see what the rest of the team says. So it's okay to ask a pointed question. When do I expect to hear back from you? Right? What do you really think about this? Do you think I will fit into the team? Right? And then what are the next steps? And when? So if they flounder in this one, Oh, it all depends. We are having a whole bunch of interviews going on. Either that person is non-committal or you really didn't do very well. But either way, you must ask these questions because they love being asked questions. Warm handshake again, okay? And ask if they would like to be connected on LinkedIn. Says I would love to. I already am following your company, right? I would love to stay connected with you, whether this works out or not, right? And I promise I won't stalk you, but don't ask to connect on Facebook. Don't bring up the salary yet. Let them make the first move. Okay, repeat after me in your minds. Let them bring up the salary. So, logging, right? I'm just going to show you this. For example, maintain a simple spreadsheet. Should consist of company name, date of the interviews, name of interviewers, name of the positions, a short job description if possible, where you got that information from. And once that chapter is closed, you can actually just strike it off. So this is the kind of uh, spreadsheet that I keep online. These are all from like 2, 3 years back, but I just wanted to let you know that. So after you come home, follow up. See, this is in bold letters compared to everything else. Write a thank you note. There is nothing more powerful than a thank you note. Okay. And remember that white page in your interview when I said you want to mark the names of the people and the places where they are sitting? Use that and refer every single person by name and thank them. Right. And if you don't get the job, please send a regret message and say that yes, I hope that our paths do cross in future sometime, right? So conclusion: network all the time, my friends. There is networking has to be a way of life. Prepare, 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 right? That's what we spoke about. Arrive early at your interviews. Interview your interviewer thoroughly. Remember, just as much as you want the job, he should also want you, and you want to let him know that or her know that. Close gracefully, okay? And follow up after the interviews. Okay. So again, for those who missed my contact information early, Paresh Motiwala at gmail.com. My Twitter handle is at Paresh Motiwala. Please tweet about it. And my LinkedIn is Paresh Motiwala. I would love to see some of you connect with me. And if you do, please make sure you write a note saying that you heard me at this presentation so I don't say I don't know this person. And questions. We have like a whole 2 minutes. I would love to answer any questions if anybody has that. If not,
Thank you. I don't
or
I don't see any questions coming, but there are some feedbacks though.
okay, go ahead.
Um, yeah, so Michael wants to thank for the informative seminar, and Jackie Cabrera and wanted to say thank you very much for the presentation.
Mhm. Oh, Jackie's from Boston. Okay,
Yeah, and Ravi Shankar saying thank you for the presentation.
cool. So I hope to see you guys and thank you for attending. I know everybody, it's kind of getting late in some corners of the world already. So good night, folks. And coming up next is prepare for the change because it is coming. And if you haven't heard Alan White talk, I, no matter what you are doing, go listen to him. Drop everything and listen to Alan White. He's like a god of SQL Server. Okay, guys. So thank you very much. And on behalf of 24 Hours of Pass, I will see you guys around soon. Okay. Thank you, folks. Good night. And as
Thank you
thank
all
you
for the
for an excellent job with the
thank
moderation.
thank you so much.